Hi everyone, so here we are tonight at the first night of the new UK tour of American Idiot, and it's its 10th anniversary tour. We're in the interval at the moment, which is actually unusual for a start because the show usually runs through without an interval, and I do worry actually that it's actually stopped some of the action because it is such a well-written piece when it runs straight through. And I think it's going to leave quite a short act too, so obviously I will finish this review off after the show later. So for those that don't know, American Idiot, it might sound like the life story of Donald Trump, but it isn't. It's actually based on the Green Day album of the same name, so a lot of the songs you will know and you will be very familiar with. There's a few more songs in the show than were on the album, and actually if you listen through the album there is a reoccurring theme about three guys who are basically sat doing nothing, who then decide to go on a bit of a trip in life, and the story just goes straight through. So I will come back later and tell you a bit more about the show and the performances. So far, I mean, I can say the energy is great, and one thing that has always staggered me, I know this show quite well because I've actually directed the show, and I actually saw this show 10 years ago on its opening night preview in New York, where actually they had to stop the show because Green Day attended, and also they had to close the road after with people trying to get autographs, so I was one of those as well. So and the lyrics that Billy Joe Armstrong writes anyway, I think when you see them in a theatrical setting, are absolutely beautiful. They're really poetic. Now the show won't be for everybody. It's quite hard. There's lots of adult scenes, lots of language, a few bare bottoms, that stuff. But I guess it's a punk musical. I guess you're going to expect some of that stuff. So the show is on this week at the Mayflower Theatre, and they're also going all around the country. If you look down in the comments box, I'm going to put some links how you can get tickets to the tour and how you're going to get tickets for the Mayflower. The show plays all week. The show is, as you can see, quite busy tonight, and I think it's going to be busy for the rest of the week, so you do want to book tickets as soon as you can. So the show is directed by Racky Clues, and I have to say it's quite visionary. It's quite extraordinary. It's very fast moving, and the choreography and the director and the direction is both done by Racky Clues. So you know, it's actually a very clever mix of contemporary punk musical theatre, believe it or not. The staging is all on one set, fantastic band, and some lovely performances. Namely, so far for me, Tom Milner, who plays Johnny, is playing quite an understated, sympathetic take on what's usually a bit of a bad boy punk. I mean, I know the story quite well, so I know where it's going. I know it's opening night, but there does tend to be a bit of tentativeness in the cast, and you know, and last time I saw this production, it was at the Arts Theatre in London, which is probably about less than a fifth of the size of the one we're in tonight, and I think being on the huge stage does lose a little bit of the energy, of course, when you're in the tiny little Arts Theatre. Having said that, you know, there is lots and lots of good about the production. I'll come back to you at the end of the show and tell you a little bit more about my overall thoughts. So I'm just back from American Idiot at the Mayflower. What did I think? Overall, I really enjoyed it. It's never going to be an easy show, so I've already mentioned in the interval blog that I did see the show in New York on its first preview. I've also directed a production of it. I've also seen a production of it in London, which is actually this production, which was at the Arts Theatre, which has been made a bit bigger and ready for the tour. Really, the show is the album with a few more songs, so there's not a lot of dialogue. And I remember when I looked at the show when I was directing it, literally it's a book of lyrics, which has a fantastic theme and a fantastic story. But let me just give you a bit of an insight. There's a guy walking out beside us, and he actually said to his wife, he went, "Oh, so I get it. So that was the story of how they got together." It isn't that story. I see it as a coming of age story. I see it as three friends who are at a time in America's politics where there wasn't a lot of hope, or there didn't seem that there was a lot of hope for youth and American dreams, the American dream. And these three guys, one obviously stays at home, one stays joins the army, and one goes out on, I guess, a bender, really, and they all come up, and it does have a kind of happy ending. However, I'm not going to tell you too much about the show. So the show is quite heavily edited in. If you don't like Green Day music, you're not going to like it. It definitely isn't The Sound of Music. It isn't traditional by any means. It's one set. It is fast. It is furious. Now, I did feel that having an interval in the middle of the show absolutely killed the show dead. Now, I know that's probably unpopular to say, but I know the show very well, and having seen it in its previous forms, the show is written and designed to run through about 100 minutes without an interval. And with that, you do get this fantastic journey that you go on with these characters, with this obviously fantastic score and amazing lyrics, which are poetic in their very meaning. Poetic and beautiful and heartfelt is a way I would describe those lyrics. So you can quote me on that if you want to. And so I get that, you know, local audiences are used to an interval. I just think the second half therefore took a little while to get going. Thought the performances were wonderful. I thought Tom Milner particularly shone out of the show in the title, in the main role. Johnny is a hard character. He's not exactly the most likable, but he made him likable. There was a absolutely torturous scene in Act 2 where there was obviously a big display of drug use, which was beautifully and painfully acted, and it made people feel very uncomfortable, and I think that's exactly what it should be doing. So I think, you know, this again is not a show for the faint-hearted. Fantastic band on stage, everything that you'd expect from hearing the Green Day songs, and I have to say the arrangements are beautiful. So by that I mean there's big pulsing harmonies all the way through the show, where you're used to hearing these very simple, well, not simple, but these rock songs used, and in this case they are orchestrated to perfection. So we get a huge symphonic version of things like 21 Guns, What's the Name. The other thing I'd like to add is Raki Plouz, who has directed and choreographed it, has actually done a fantastic job. It is very vibrant, it is fast, it is punchy, it is energetic, and the choreography absolutely is the pulse for the show. Now, I know you might not think that choreography would be something that you would see to Green Day songs. However, it is absolutely pivotal to this show. It's the lifeblood, it's fast moving, and actually delivered by probably the hardest working ensemble I've seen for a long time. So full credit to those guys. So overall, will you like it? Yes. Don't go expecting The Sound of Music. It isn't a pussyfooting show. It's heavy, it's angry, it's beautifully passionate, and it's actually full of hope and modern and modernness for a generation that maybe will not be going to the theatre and will because of this show. So it is 100% worth going to. So the show is on tour around the UK. It starts in the Mayflower Theatre this week. It shows on until Saturday. I'm going to stick some links below so you can buy tickets for this and the forthcoming tour. And before you go today, obviously, I'd like you to do the normal. Before the curtain comes down today, I'd like you to do a few things for me. Please subscribe to the channel. We've got lots coming up, so you just hit the subscribe button and you'll get updates from us and a little bell every time we upload videos. Got lots coming up. Also, follow us on Instagram, where it's Amdram Adam. Follow us on Twitter, @AdamAmdram. And also, you'll see us on Facebook, Amdram Adam. And I look forward to seeing you on the aisles. Good night.